was about
Lights, camera, action is going down. For my ATL movies, when we run this town with your host, T-Will, yeah, keeping it real. From the A to the screen, you can feel the thrill. Rolling with the classics, we're setting the pace. Highlighting the magic of our soulful space. Got the vibe, got the crew, making it tight. When the screen lights up, everything feels right. Grab your popcorn, let's make it loud. T-Will, T-Will. It's movie time, ATL style. Stand proud. From the silver screen to the hearts we steal. T-Will, T-Will. Every frame we capture is a real deal. Yeah. Talking premieres where the stars align. ATL views, yeah, they really shine. Behind the lens, capture.
welcome, Marvel fans, MCU fans, Punisher fans. Welcome. It's your host T-Will and my guy, Mr. Jordan Burton, and we are talking Punisher Season 1 today. Jordan, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Hey, man, can't complain. Wouldn't matter if I did. I noticed that you have on your Commanders jersey today. You want to tell us about that and what that has to do with the Punisher?
Well, John Bernthal, the Punisher, is a lifelong Commanders, Washington football team, Redskins fan. So I figured I'll put on a Commanders jersey for him.
Okay. Well, shout out to John Bernthal and the Commanders, as it were. And hey, man, just super excited to get into the Punisher today. From the original Netflix series, we do see him in season 2 of Daredevil, and I believe a little bit of season 3. I believe, if I'm correct, maybe not. No, season 2. Thank you, season 2. And yeah, man, great series. Really good series. Really well done. A little slow in the beginning, like maybe the first 7 episodes or first 6, but by the time we hit episode 7 and that thing's going, it's no holds barred and let's go. Very, very interesting series. I found myself, especially the last 6 or 7 episodes, on the edge of my seat. Just really, really good, really well written. So it was released November 17th, 2017. And by the way, Jordan, November 17th should be a holiday every year because that's a great day. That's the day that T-Will graced this world 55 years ago. And I'm just saying that it's what a day to release. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was created by Steve Lightfoot, released by Marvel Television. Netflix was the original platform. Of course, John Bernthal plays Frank Castle and the Punisher. Ebon Moss-Bachrach, what a name, plays Micro.
Who now plays the Thing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Is he really? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Excellent. Amber Rose Riva plays Dina Madani. Ben Barnes plays Billy Russo, and Paul Schultz plays William Rollins. The storylines come from, looks like, 3 stories in Marvel comic books, and it's Punisher Max, the Punisher comic book Born, and the Punisher comic book entitled The Slavers. Those are all, I guess, all 3 of these that provide canon for the storylines written through season 1. Okay. And it basically starts Frank Castle is living off the grid. He's working construction while suppressing his violent instincts. He kind of discovers a hidden microfilm revealing a government black op unit called Cerberus. This ties directly to his past missions in Afghanistan. Meanwhile, Dina Madani investigates the same conspiracy. Frank realizes his family's murder wasn't random and the fact that it was a cover-up, and this reignites his war. Frank tracks down Micro, the hacker who faked his own death, and Micro convinces Frank to help expose the truth. Their uneasy alliance forms the emotional backbone of the season. They begin targeting key players involved in Cerebus. Meanwhile, Billy Russo appears as a trusted ally, but cracks in his loyalty begin to show. And this is true. First episode, we see Frank is working at this construction site, and he can't sleep at night because every time he closes his eyes and goes to sleep, he sees his family and their murder over and over and over again. So he often goes to the construction site to work as what'd you call it, catharsis, maybe, as a way of kind of avoiding sleep, but avoiding his nightmares and the demons of guilt coming, because that's what it is. It's just guilt manifestation in his dreams. And what a tortured soul. And this is how it's picked up. And we see 4 construction workers that come in and they're working, and there's a new guy, and I can't think of his name, but we see the season starts on his first day coming into work, and he's just trying to be one of the guys. And initially they give Frank a hard time for working too much and working through, I guess they are a unionized outfit, and working through lunch and working too much, so it's kind of denying them overtime, and they don't like that because it's cutting into their money. And so the kid that they initially who's starting his first day, he's a good guy. He tries to go and befriend Frank and offers him his sandwich as a lunch and tries to make conversation with him. And, and he basically says those guys didn't mean anything. They just need the money for the overtime. And he says, to be honest with you, I do too. And Frank says to him, hey, look, man, if you're looking for a friend, I'm not it. I'm just here working. But, Frank realizes he's a nice guy, and, it's really not an enemy. And anyway, as the episode goes on, one of the guys who's in their crew ends up hurting himself on the job, and they were planning to rob this mob card game, right? And the guy was the 4th to go in or whatever. And so they replace him with the new guy that just joined the team. And the new guy probably has never robbed anybody before. So he takes his wallet to a robbery. Yay. Because that's smart. And he drops his wallet during the commission of the robbery, and they see who he is. And now the other 3 guys involved in the robbery are like, okay, well, we got to kill him. And they happen to go to the work site. And who's there but Frank Castle, working out his catharsis because he can't sleep because of his night terrors, right? And so they meet the Punisher that night because they're trying to kill him. And the Punisher just does his thing, kills them all, drops them in the concrete pit. Before he does, he tortures the one main guy that kept giving him a problem. And he says, where's the card game? And he tells him. And, of course, Frank shows up to where the card games was and kills all the mob guys there and tells the guy, take this money, get out of town, which I don't know if he could take his grandmother, but I'm going to assume he could because she needed her medication, but I guess the money was enough that he could live off of. I don't know. But give me your thoughts on this first episode and the way they set this up.
I love this first episode because it doesn't it doesn't really go with the plot all that well. Like it's just, where is Frank now? And it kind of sets us up with, because all right, after Daredevil season 2, we're like, all right, where's Frank? What's he doing?
Right.
And it's just a nice way, because Frank the Punisher as a character has a lot going on with him mentally. So watching this show in this first episode, it lets us like settle in on where Frank is at physically, and somewhat mentally. I think we see that over the course of this first season where he's at mentally, but like we see him. I love the scene where he's looking at, I love that he's working construction, and when he's sitting on top of the building and looking at the New York skyline, like I think it's a really cool scene. And even though it's technically not accurate with the MCU because we don't see Avengers Tower, That's what that's it's funny. The last two things we've reviewed kind of have two of the biggest plot holes within the
Yeah.
MCU,
Yep.
with Homecoming and that Sony disaster and 8 years
Yep.
later. And
Yep.
this one minor thing, which they couldn't use Avengers Tower from a legal standpoint, so I understand why. That's why they, whenever in the Netflix series, they say like the big green guy or the guy with the hammer or the guy with the shield, or they'll say, hey, that dude in the iron suit or something like that. They won't
I
say
didn't
their
realize
names.
that they couldn't technically use the
Yes.
name. Okay, that, you know what? I never put the two together, but you're right. You are right.
So, with this first scene is I mean, it's a great, I mean, it shows a lot of gore. It sets us up with the Punisher could honestly be an anthology series where he just goes to different towns and like lives his life, and we would still enjoy it because he's just, he's not trying to look for trouble. Trouble just ends up finding him. And this first episode just lets us enjoy what he's doing right now and realizing that, yeah, he just wants to live his life, get through his mental struggles, and sometimes he doesn't want to look for trouble. Trouble finds him.
Yeah.
And I love
it. We also see that kind of at the beginning, in his mind, the conflict is over because he got all the guys that, were involved in his family's murder, or so he thinks. And so we see him in this dormant stage where he really is trying to rest, but he can't. And we see that Frank is a tortured soul. We see that Frank, when you can't sleep at night because those demons of guilt are so bad, you're in a bad way. And the other thing that we see is Frank kind of needs a war. He needs something to distract him from the loss of his family, because that's what keeps him going at this point. And it's the only thing that keeps him going. It's interesting. But in the midst of all of this, Frank makes a mistake and is caught on camera. And we see Micro saying, "Hey, Frank, how's it going?" Like he's been waiting for this moment. Like he's been waiting to see where he is. And in the beginning, we don't know if Micro is a bad guy, good guy. We don't know what his intentions are. We just see him do that. And it's interesting because in the next episode, Frank goes into a coffee shop, and the server refers to him as a hipster. Now, Jordan, I'm not up on how hipsters typically look, but I'm guessing it's because of the beard. Is that why she refers to him as a hipster? Because he has a full-grown beard? Like, he didn't have any other distinguishable clothing. So I'm trying to understand what would separate him from everybody else in the coffee shop as far as being a hipster.
We don't really use the term hipster. We haven't used that since, I don't know, maybe the 90s, 80s.
Well, I don't know if she did. So
it's just, it is a very, like, when I first watched this, all right, let me start off by saying where I was when I first watched this, because this was the first series I ever watched.
Really?
The Netflix series, yeah.
Okay.
Because I love the Punisher that much. Like when it comes to Punisher, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, I love the Punisher so much more than everyone else, including Daredevil. And even in hindsight, I still love the Punisher more than I love Daredevil, although I think Daredevil is a better series overall than the Punisher. I still hold this series very highly. So this was the first series I watched. I watched season 1 and season 2, and then years later I would watch Daredevil. Like I watched season 1 and season 2 when season 2 first came out. I don't remember when that was. It was like 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. And look, nobody used the term hipster. Watching this for the first time, I was like, I was so confused. So what are you getting at? Like like hipster? Like I'm confused. Like just say, "Oh, you're not from around here," or we don't usually. I haven't seen you here before. You could have said anything like that, but you're like hipster. I'm like, very interesting choice of dialogue there. I'm a little confused, but okay.
Yeah, I think she's referencing the beard because later on in the show he shaves and he says, "Well, I had to because the lady in the coffee shop referred to me as a hipster." So I'm guessing it was the beard, but I just did not understand what denotes hipster membership. Like
I don't know.
what
I don't know what does, because to me a hipster is like someone from like the 60s, like and 70s, like
well,
with that
that
style.
would be a
Like
hippie. That would be a hippie, but I
yeah,
like
but
a
I kind of
hipster
put them both in the same
together.
hipster and
Okay.
hippies. I kind of
Okay.
put them both in the same category.
Okay.
So like what like when I like I don't know. I don't know. It's a very weird choice of dialogue there.
Well, let's see how Google defines the term hipster.
Hipster.
So, a hipster is a person typically in their 20s or 30s who values independent thinking, counterculture, and creative non mainstream fashion and music. They
Literally
often
60s and
adapt vintage styles,
60s.
progressive politics, and artistic lifestyles,
Yeah,
frequently
that's-
residing in gentrified urban neighborhoods.
It doesn't really even sound like
The Punisher,
doesn't-
not at all.
yeah.
Not at all.
There's such a weird choice of dialogue there.
Right.
Like
Right. Oh wait, they've got more. They've got more though. So it says they often wear skinny jeans, vintage clothing, flannel shirts, large frame glasses,
no.
and facial hair for men. So I guess it was the
All right,
facial.
like what? All right, they really were like, okay, let's point at one specific thing. That's like saying, like, I'm a politician because I took an AP US history class.
Right.
Like, that's just
Right.
like that's so just weird. Like, I don't know. That's very nitpicky. What they did, they were like, all right, we need to describe him with something. Oh, let's call him a hipster. And someone's probably like, but he's not actually a hipster. And they're like, I don't know. What does a hipster mean? I don't know. Google it.
Well, and
Go
to
through
your
this whole
point,
list, and they're like, no. Oh, but he's got a beard. He's got a beard.
right. But again, so think of the person who described him as that. You know what I mean? She's basically, older person, right? And maybe in her narrow definition of it, anybody with a full beard meets that description, because maybe she doesn't see a lot of folks with full beards in there. I don't know. It's very much an oversimplification of, and I would say it's a very inaccurate definition by her standard.
In the 90s or the late 80s, I think I would semi understand it, but it's just mainly because I don't know. Nowadays, you can wear whatever you want, you can look however you want, you can dress however you want, and it's not that weird. Like, if you can go to Walmart in your pajamas or a tuxedo, and honestly, nobody's gonna really bat an eye unless you're literally wearing.
In the city, you can do that. I don't know if you can do that in rural America. You get what I'm saying?
I mean, I kind of am in certain areas. I am in rural America. That's like, I can go right now. I can throw on pajamas and go to Walmart, and then an hour later, I can go throw on a tuxedo and go to Walmart, and not a single person is going to question me. If one person questions me, then I'm going to look at that person weird. Like, why are you even, like, what are you even talking to me for? Like, I'm going about my business. Like, I mean, I literally did that. I've done that so many times. Yeah, like, where I got to wake up early. and I still, I mean, I don't really wear pajamas all that much. I have pajamas. I don't wear them much. Mainly
I don't
unless
wear
it's
pajamas either.
like
I don't wear them.
I have pajamas that it's like a family not ritual. I feel like ritual's the wrong word. It's a tradition. It's a family tradition on
Part
Christmas
of the culture of your family
to get pajamas on Christmas Eve. And that's our first present. So I will wear those pajamas on Christmas Day. So sometimes you got to go to Walmart on Christmas Eve. You're wearing your pajamas, and who cares? I don't care. And like nowadays, yeah, you can wear whatever you want, look however you want, bald with no facial hair, or you can have a full beard and long hair that goes down to your butt. It doesn't matter. You can wear whatever you want. So it's kind of weird. Just, I don't know. Again, if this was set in the 90s or late 80s, I'd understand the dialogue a little bit better. But this was like 2016, 2017. It was a weird choice of dialogue.
I see. Here's the thing. I think I know there are towns now where people will look at you funny, right? So, maybe where you are, that's okay. But that's not the case for all of America. So I think this is just kind of one of those towns to where, if you're not clean shaven, right? You said what?
It's New York. I mean, this is set in New York. Like I'd understand. I understand what you're saying. Like if this was in the, like I could picture this in like Kansas.
I knew you were going to say Kansas. I knew you were going to say that.
Well, mainly because I've visited Kansas.
Right.
Like I can understand that totally. I got 100% will agree with you. New York, no. Like of all places in the world. Yeah. Of all places in the world, I could go down New York and see someone in a bright neon green suit, or I can see them in pajamas that I could see a man in his 30s with a full beard and long hair with My Little Pony pajamas, and I won't bat an eye. So I've seen. Like you could literally. I mean, heck, especially New York. Like how I said, unless you show up in your underwear at Walmart, you won't be batting an eye. New York, you can show up in your underwear, and nobody's gonna bat an eye. Heck, have you seen some of the videos on TikTok and YouTube? Like, come on, you can show up in anything down New York. Nobody's gonna bat an eye. They're just gonna be like, get out of my way. Like that's literally what of all places in the entire world, that is the last place I think anyone would question how you look or what you're wearing.
That's fair. That is fair. I will.
But I agree with you. There's some areas of America, in like South and Middle America, even Midwest, that if you show up in certain towns, they're gonna be like, oh. Why are you wearing that?
Who's this guy? Why is this? What's up with this guy? You know what I mean? But
But New York.
It threw me when she said hipster. I was like, what is she? You know what I mean? That was just it was a weird choice. But anyway, Micro sees him and reveals himself, and the way he reaches out to Castle, and not that Castle is not the most inviting of characters. I will give you that. But the way he reaches out to Castle, you're just gonna piss him off. And so he's like, I caught you or whatever. And, I wonder what the government would think if they knew you were alive. He doesn't threaten him, but he's trying to. So Micro is an NSA analyst. And when these guys reach out to you, they're trying to get you to do their bidding. And a lot of times they're not nice about it. So they're going to blackmail you. They're going to give you no choice. And not that he doesn't do that, but he's kind of, or not that he does that, but just the way he reaches out to look, when you deal with Frank Castle, the only way to deal with him and reach out to him and it not be an issue is to be submissive. Like, hey, Frank, I have some information.
Mm-hmm.
The sun's getting low, big guy. I'm putting up my hand now. The
Mhm.
sun's getting low, big guy. I have
Mhm.
some information. You know what I mean? I'm coming to you in complete submission. Can you help me out? This could help both of us. But the way he does it, it kind of pisses Castle off. So you know what Castle does? Castle reaches out to Karen Page, who gets information on the guy, and Frank goes to meet his family and ends up running into, or not running into, but walking into or manifesting an accident to where
Mhm.
Micro's wife kind of hits him by accident and he introduces himself. And of course, this pisses Micro off and motivates. He's all right. Now you know where I live. And he says, yeah. And if you don't want me to, you know, he not that he says he's going to hurt his family, but he's like, I know where your family is. So if you, you know, cut all the nonsense, let's meet because I know where your family is. And him being the Punisher, that's a credible threat. And of course, they meet, and the Punisher ends up knocking him out, and he wakes up butt naked in his chair. And the Punisher is trying to extract information, which kind of did not make sense. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay. And to those of you watching this, I'm going to apologize ahead of time, but it is necessary. So, I'm trying to say this tactfully, during the season, and I can tell by the look on your face, you know where I'm going. But during the
idea where you're
season,
going. I honestly have no idea where you're going.
okay, so that's this should be good. Look, okay, all right. So during the season, Micro's wife thinks Micro is dead, and she begins to be attracted to Frank.
Mhm.
And I think in one of the episodes, she actually kisses Frank, and Frank kisses her
Yes.
back because, I mean, his wife is smoking hot. I'll give her that. So, you know, Micro's getting drunk, and in this episode, Micro refers to himself as being gifted. I'll just put it that way. Okay. I know you're picking up what I'm putting down.
No, I really don't. I'm very curious where this is headed.
You don't remember that episode?
I remember. No, I remember all of what you're saying. I remember all of what you're saying. I just don't know where we're headed with this.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is he tortured him, or he didn't torture him, but he inquired him while he was butt naked for 24 hours. He should already know how gifted he is. You get what I'm saying? So that drunken stupor that he was in whatever episode where he's talking about his wife and he's like, well, you don't have to worry about taking her because I'm gifted. He doesn't say gifted, but I don't want the YouTube to come after me. But you know what I mean.
Well endowed.
I wasn't going to say that, but there you go. I didn't even want to say that.
That's a very I guess that's a more scientific way of
I get
putting
it.
it, I guess.
I get it. But what I'm saying is, being that he tortured him, right, butt naked for like an entire episode, he should know that this man is gifted in that way. So it's kind of a plot
to reassure himself. I mean, it's one of those things that some people, even though someone knows something about someone, this could be anything. It's like they want that person to be reminded. It's like a cockiness. And especially in a drunk state, he's probably even more cocky about it, saying like, yeah. Like,
I mean, maybe he forgot, but it just didn't make sense to me being that the guy was naked for like 24 hours because he makes a point of saying it's been 24 hours. So, you know, you should know what the guy has is what I'm saying, being that he's tied to a chair and you're torturing him to get information. You know what? You can't.
I don't know. I just never thought about his personal business all that much.
I mean, okay.
You're like,
I knew you were gonna do that.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying I never thought about that. And I've watched this. I've watched
I
this
watched
show,
the show like 3
30
times, right?
times.
And it's just when he said it, the second time I watched it, because when's the last time? Well, before last night, it had been like a week before we did a show, right? Maybe a week or whatever. So I watched The Punisher like 2.5 times, but when he said it, he was like, and I can show you. And they both laugh, and I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, we just watched an entire episode.
Why
like
they laugh though?
5 episodes prior, you know what I mean? Where this guy was like, he should know. It's just weird to me. Like he should know, right? Like when he does it, Frank should be like, yeah, I know, I saw. You know what I mean? Whatever. Anyway,
I'm not gonna comment further on.
Well, I was uncomfortable with it, man. So I'm just saying. The whole point of me bringing up is he should know. Like I was just like, you know what I mean? I don't want to see anybody. You know what I mean?
Here. I plead the fifth.
Whatever, man. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. Okay.
I do, but I don't. I'll stay out of it.
I'm just saying, man, it's weird.
I'm not saying Jack.
It's weird. Okay, whatever. Anyway, so where the hell are we? All right, so Frank, eventually Frank, their relationship in the beginning is kind of like Frank doesn't trust him, and he has to trust Frank. And Micro has an oversight as to everything that went on, but these two have to learn to work together. And so a lot of the first episodes is just them, I don't want to say feeling each other out, but getting to know each other. And there's friction in the beginning, but they grow to a point to where they really are friends and they have each other's back. And that's the kind of the dynamic I wanted to bring up. And we'll get into it later, but that's kind of what I wanted to bring up. Anyway, Frank finally gets on board. They start to work together. And episode 3, which is entitled Kandahar, starts out. And it's a deep dive into Frank Castle's past, giving context to him and basically the man behind the Punisher. And through flashbacks, we see Frank as a soldier. He's disciplined, he's loyal, he's effective. The scene kind of humanizes him, showing that he wasn't always consumed by vengeance, that he had structure, brotherhood, and a clear sense of purpose. The war environment kind of feels authentic yet chaotic and morally complex. This is where Frank's transformation truly begins. The introduction of Operation Cerberus is a turning point in understanding the larger narrative. What initially appears to be a standard military mission slowly reveals itself as something far more sinister. In other words, they're just going out and picking up targets and killing these guys under the misconception or under the deception that no, we're interrogating these guys for information. No, they're just killing them. They're just picking up random guys that they think have information, and whether their interrogation is successful or not, they're killing them. And they end up killing a police officer who has nothing to do with any war efforts, and he's an innocent man. Okay. Orders become questionable and the line between right and wrong begins to blur. Frank is caught between following commands and trusting his instincts. This is a moral conflict which is critical to his character. It shows that even before his family death, Frank was already being sharpened by compromised leadership. But it brings up the question, Jordan, in war, when it comes to certain objectives, where's the light between where's the demarcation point between right and wrong? And I say this because later on in further episodes, and this is years after this happens, the main guy, William, I can't think of his last name, but he receives a commendations for his efforts that were very fruitful in turning the tide in the war. So the information that they gained did help them to do this. The information that they gained was helpful, but they did it by utilizing despicable means to get that information. but they ended up winning. So it brings to light the question, if they won the war and their methods were effective, where's the line between right and wrong?
And that's the whole, where's the line of right and wrong in all war that we question, and that's why war sucks. That's why war is awful. Just in general, because this happens a lot. This is probably happening right now.
Yeah.
And we don't know it.
Yep.
And throughout the entire, not just America, but all other countries in the entire world, probably happening somewhere. And this is just what happens, and it sucks. And that's where the whole thing is wrong. And it's like, all right, we're all doing these wrong things. And when I say we all, I mean America. I mean, there's no good versus bad in war. There's everything that we're doing is bad. Let's make this very clear. Nobody should be dying. All right. Nobody should be dying. Kumbaya, mamasema masama makusa. We should all be good, but that's not how life works. That's not how the world works. And with war, everything's bad. And some of the things, in order for us to be less bad, then there has to be like a balance to where it's like we do even worse things to make things better. And it's like, all right, that's how war works. And that's what always makes the Punisher an interesting character, is that's what he does, is that he punishes and he creates that balance. He punishes in order to bring the peace. So, and that's what I've always found very interesting. He goes after bad guys, the Punisher. And he has a moral code. And yes, he isn't Spider-Man. He isn't trying to save everybody. He wants those bad people for everyone else to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, I mean, from a war perspective, this happens.
Well, he's judging jury. Right. I think where
and executioner.
Yeah. Thank you. He's
judge, jury, and
executioner. And he takes out the process of court, the process of their rights. He doesn't give them any due process. And with a lot of these folks, you kind of feel like, well, they did kill his family. So, okay. But he does this as a process. Like, he just decides everyone is guilty. And again, it brings to light. It's like this, right? It's like if we go to the Injustice conflict, this whole thing starts because stupid ass Joker just on a whims decides, you know what? It'd be really cool. What if I kidnap Superman's wife and get Scarecrow to mix up something with some kryptonite that'll make Superman kill his wife and child by accident? Yeah, that would be cool. And we all know how that plays out, in that, it happens exactly that way. Lois is kidnapped, and because she's just told Clark that she's pregnant, he's off. So he doesn't realize where she is. He can't hear her heartbeat. And by the time they figure it out, when he walks into this facility, he's immediately dosed with this poison, and he thinks that Lois is Doomsday, and she's not, and he takes her up to space and kills her. And he comes back to Earth, and the first thing that he does is goes to where the Joker is and punches him through his chest and rips his heart out and says to Batman, were you not my best friend, I would kill you too, because you allowed this to happen. Because this guy has been a menace for years, and you don't kill him. You just continue to put him back in Arkham Asylum. And because of you, stuff like this happens. And this is it, right? And the whole argument for that story and the structure is the freedoms that we have on one hand. Like, on the one hand, would you give up your freedoms if there were no crime? If you could get rid of crime, right? If you could submit yourself to a totalitarian regime and get rid of crime, would you give up all of your freedoms to do that? And most people would not. Most people would say, I'd rather take it as it is in order to be free, or have the illusion.
You're not free if you're structured.
Or have the illusion of freedom.
Yes.
Or have some.
It is an illusion of freedom. Yeah.
Agreed. But most people would take that as opposed to submitting to a totalitarian regime. And Punisher, which is where I'm going, is the blunt instrument or the end of that totalitarian regime. He doesn't realize it, but that's what this sort of thought process is. There's no judge, jury, there's just executioner, and here you go, buddy. Bam. But anyway, let's get back to it. Sorry for my rant. Billy Russo's presence in the flashbacks adds emotional weight, and it basically shows the friendship and the brotherhood, as you alluded to, between he and Frank, and how close they were, and the conversations that they had, and the fact that, and I don't know if it's in this episode, but basically there's this mission where they're told to go into this valley, and Frank clearly says, this is a trap, because this is a trap, and because I know it is, because this is what I would do. And William, whatever his name is, what's his name?
Billy Russo.
Yeah, no, not Billy. William, the other guy, the guy over to the right. I can't. He's like, hey, I point, you shoot. Just go ahead and shoot, right? And of course, they go into the conflict, and it's exactly what Frank says it is. And when they return, because Frank goes on this basically killing tirade, and turns the tide, and they're actually able to escape, Frank punches him in his eye so hard that it puts out his eye. And he freaking deserved it. But we see Billy hold Frank back and say, hey, man, guys like this always win. You don't want to do this. You don't want to kill this guy. And what's interesting in that moment, Jordan, is we think that Billy is being a friend. And maybe he is. But Billy is also involved, unbeknownst to Frank, and really doesn't want this thing to go any farther. So we ultimately see that Billy is the kind of guy, Billy doesn't do anything altruistically, right? He's going to get something out of it. And even in this, even though in some ways he is protecting Frank, but he's also protecting himself, right? Anyway, I've been talking way too long. Give me your thoughts on this episode and just what's going on here. And we're in episode 2.
I love the military. So, all right, this whole first season does feel like an origin story. Like, it's not the first time we're introduced to Jon Bernthal's Punisher.
Right.
It was the first time I was introduced to Jon Bernthal's Punisher, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it feels like an origin story because we get where he's at now, but these flashbacks are so perfect and so well done in setting up what his conflict is now and what he's going through now and how he can solve this. Because a lot of the Punisher's issues is PTSD. And we're going to see in the Punisher special presentation that we are going to get more of those flashbacks. We are 100% going to get more of those. That's just his PTSD, not just in war, but his PTSD when it comes to his family dying. Has influenced him so much, and it inherently makes almost every single thing that the Punisher is in feel like we already know this character and we know his origin story, even though we may not. So we can see that he's a hurt individual and that he goes through a lot on a daily basis.
He's broken.
He's broken. Yes. So with this episode goes back and forth with his military time and just where he's at now, and I don't care too much of what's happening now. There's this stretch of episodes from episode 2 to episode like 5-ish where we're in the place with what's his name, a Micro. This is probably the weakest part for me because like a lot of just lollygagging happens in these episodes.
Yeah. It's very slow. It's very
they're like there's a lot of great parts, and especially in this episode when we get into the flashback scenes.
Yeah.
Because the war that the Punisher does to these people is insane. I love it. It's gruesome. It's gory. This guy's going nuts, and it's awesome. Like, look, there's some people that love. I don't care too much about war movies all that much because a lot of them tend to recycle the same sort of narrative. There's some that I really like. Like, I love American Sniper. I think it is a beautiful story. Then there's one with I don't remember what the movie's called, but Andrew Garfield is in it. And there's some stories that are great, but a lot of war movies tend to go with the same narrative that someone dies in the end, or they somehow live in the end, but they lose a lot of people, a lot of friends and stuff like that. So I'm not a huge war fan. Like in terms of genres, it's on the lower half of my genres that I would look for in movies. But if you like war movies, I will always recommend you to watch The Punisher, because his these flashbacks are better than some war movies that are only war, that are not comic books. Like, this is comic book material turned into comic book source material, turned into a Marvel TV show.
Right.
Like, this guy is in a comics wearing spandex. Like, and he's out here in full tactical gear, brutally murdering people.
Mm-hmm.
And it is better than some war movies.
It is. And
I will recommend this to all of the people that love war movies. So like, these flashbacks are incredible, and they add more to his character. It's just I feel like these episodes are held back a little by the fact that there's really not too much going on
right
in current time.
Right. No, you're right. You're 100% right about that. It does lag a little, but unfortunately it is necessary so that we got to walk now so that we can run from episode 7 up to 13. You know what I mean? Because you need to establish the background, and you need to see why the Punisher is the way he is.
Mm-hmm.
You really need to see why he is the way he is. Sorry about that. So anyway, meanwhile, Dinah Madani's investigation in the present timeline begins to connect these past events to current operations. Excuse me. She uncovers inconsistencies and the hidden truths that suggest a cover-up. Her determination mirrors Frank's, but her methods are rooted in the system. This creates a parallel narrative, two people chasing the same truth from different angles. The tension between institutional justice and personal vengeance starts to form here. It's subtle. By the end of Kandahar, the audience understands that Frank's war didn't start in New York. It started overseas. The seeds of corruption, betrayal, and moral compromise were planted long before his family was killed. This episode reframes the entire story. Frank is not just reacting to tragedy. He's the product of a broken system. The Punisher is not an accident. He's a consequence. And the realization changes everything. And this is true. This is very true.
You say a broken system, and that gets reiterated with, I don't remember the character's name, that ends up going on like he ends up trying to seek help in the therapy group. He's a younger kid, and he ends up killing his father and stuff, and he's going through PTSD and stuff like that, and that echoes the broken system. I wish we got more of that character and he didn't end up going and dying. But
you're talking about the guy that turned into the terrorist?
Yes.
The kid that,
Yes.
he didn't kill his father. He killed the other guy that was in the
not his father. Yeah, his father was still alive. Yeah,
his father was trying to help him, but he killed the guy that was in the group that was lying about being
yes. Like, I wish we got more of him, because he is an example of the broken system,
right?
And I wish we would have gotten more interaction with Frank and him, because I think they ended up using him more as a plot device to put Frank in the public eye again, and I didn't like that too much. Because I think there was more you could have told in his story. There was a lot that was told in the story, and this. Look, I think American Sniper is. I always point at American Sniper when it comes to war movies, because it is probably one of my favorite just war movies, because of how it handles PTSD and stuff like that. And I think The Punisher echoes a very similar sentiment that it's why I recommend. I'm gonna give this a great rating, because as I would recommend this show to a lot of people, be just in the same light that I would recommend American Sniper to most people. Like, I think it is something that, when it comes to PTSD, is not something to screw around with. And I mean, I've seen people in different light. I have a lot of family and friends that have been in the military, and PTSD handles certain people in certain ways. Some people can just they're like, you know what? I did a lot of bad things, but I'm here now, and I'm with my family, and I have a great life. And some people can't do that. So I think it is something that, like, it's teachable for society, that, like, this is what some people go through, and it is rough. One of my friends that I just met for the first time in a few years, I've known him since I was like in third grade. One of my closest friends that I have, he went into the military, and now he's deaf in 1 ear. He was explosives. I was a detonation specialist. I hope I'm saying that right. I don't know much about the military. I can't even tell. I only know one gun, and that is an AR-15. That's it. I've played Call of Duty. I've played Fortnite. That's as close as I can get to any of that. I legit don't know that much. But he's one of the nicest, most positive people that I've ever met. And he's like, yeah, I'm a little deaf in 1 ear, but and he loves what he did. And I'm like, that's so awesome. And like that he loves what he did. And there's not a lot of people that can say that have that same sentiment. Like, my cousin's in Japan right now, in the military, and I can text him right now. I'm sure he's probably doing something dumb. He's my little cousin. He's like a couple years. He's like a year or two younger than me. But he's having a good time. Like, the one time there was an earthquake in Japan, and I was like, "Are you doing all right?" He's like, "Yeah." And like, I'm like, "All right, I'm glad you're doing fantastic. Like, your life is great over there." And a lot of people are like, anytime like something really crazy happens, and the war and stuff like that, and we have like something crazy happening, they're always like, "Is he okay? Is he okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he's like, he's always seems to be really fine." And I do check up on him a lot, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm doing great. I just did this today." I'm like, "All right, well, I'm glad life's fantastic for you."
Right.
But not a lot of people, even in the military, have positive experiences like that. And a lot have to do a lot of crazy things. I've heard there's one person, I honestly don't know where he's at right now, that is in the Middle East, that I went to school with, had lunch with every single day for 4 years, and he's one of the funniest people I ever met, and I have no idea what he's going through right now. And he could be alive or dead right now, and I wouldn't know, and none of us would know.
Right.
Because that's just what he's going through right now. So there are different sides of war, and I think shows and movies like American Sniper, shows like this, are a great way of showing the different sides of war.
Right.
That it's not just
right.
It's not just the guns and killing and stuff like that. There are
ripple effect.
There's a huge ripple effect.
Right.
When it comes to war.
Right.
When it comes to the people involved on the front line or in or behind enemy lines, behind their just friendly lines, or just here on American soil. So I love shows like this, and I love seeing stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's definitely eye-opening in the fact that even with the kid that we're talking about, I think his last name is Wilson or something but the kid starts to build a trench in his yard because he's more comfortable there. And Curtis, who is a very, very key figure in this series, and Curtis is the guy who leads the counseling group or the therapy sessions that the veterans go to. Curtis lost his leg in a conflict. I believe Curtis was a medic. But Curtis really, let me tell you something. If ever you wanted a friend, Jordan, you want him to be like Curtis. Curtis is going to keep you secrets. Curtis is going to tell you the truth. Curtis is going to check up on you. Curtis is just a good dude, man. He's just a good all-around dude, a solid guy. And
speaking of Curtis, did you see the trailer that dropped earlier this week for the new Punisher special?
I did not.
I want you to watch it. It's I wonder if he's dead.
If Curtis is dead?
Yeah. Because there's like the way I know, so the actor who plays Curtis is in, like, Curtis is going to be in the special.
Right.
But how he's in the special is I have a huge question mark.
Okay.
I don't know if he's in it from like he's dead and this is PTSD or something like that, or if he does die in the special and this is PTSD. I don't know, but it's I don't want him to die. I really like Curtis. Curtis is one of my Curtis is probably my second favorite character after obviously Frank.
Yeah. No, Curtis is solid, man, but Curtis comes to see the guy when we see, because so let's go back to the PTSD. This guy cannot sleep, he cannot get comfortable, and he says he's like, I can't sleep. I'm having nightmares. As a matter of fact, we see his dad come downstairs, and to your point, he almost does kill his dad, but he doesn't. He fires a shot when he wakes up, but it misses his head by like 2 or 3 seconds. And the guy loves his dad, so he's freaking out about it. So as a way, I believe, they don't say this, but it's kind of inferred, as a way to protect his dad from him, he starts to dig a trench in the yard, thinking, okay, he's not going to come out here to wake me up, and I can sleep out here to where I feel comfortable. And Curtis sees this. He sees him struggling in therapy, and he comes to see him and he says, do you really think this is going to help? And he's like, well, you're here to just tell me to come back to therapy. He said, no, I'm not. He said, I'm here because I care about you. He said, and another reason I'm here is because there's no rain in Kuwait. There's no rain in Afghanistan. We get rain here. So if you're going to dig a trench, you need to put it on a slope, and you want the deeper end away from you. So when it rains, the puddles will catch there, because if not, you'll drown. You'll wake up and you'll be encased in water, and there you go. And so he takes the tip, but we see the fact that this guy is not managing well. Okay.
And it echoes the same sentiment in Winter Soldier when Sam and Steve meet for the first time, and Sam says, "It's your bed, right? Like it's too soft. Like it feels like," and Steve and him echo back. It feels like you're sleeping on marshmallows that you're going to go right through. I love that. I love that detail when I watch this show, because it goes to show the different sides of war. Like Steve was on the front line. He had to kill people, but he doesn't have that PTSD that Frank has. And that was also a different type of war. Yeah. Steve was in World War II, very different style, different military tactics and stuff like that, versus Frank. And, all right, I would love for, I know we're not going to get this, and I would have loved to have gotten it. I would have loved to gotten Frank and Steve meeting for the first time. It doesn't have to do with Captain America and the Punisher. It has everything to do with Frank was a big Steve Rogers fan in the comics. And I think he does mention in Daredevil Born Again season 1, he does mention like wearing like the suit and stuff like that, wearing like stars and stripes and stuff like that. But he's a big Captain America fan, and he's a lot of respect for Captain America. He looks at him as an idol. So I would have loved to have seen Steve and Frank interact with one another. I think Sam and Frank can interact, of course, but Frank growing up looked up to Steve Rogers. So I would, especially with their different tactics of being a hero, I would have loved to have seen them interact with one another.
You know what's interesting is that in the comic book, Captain America Hydra Agent, where Captain America is in fact a Hydra agent, he gets Frank on his side by saying, "These are bad people. Go ahead and kill them." And you would think that Frank would not go, but that's all Frank wants. So Frank is completely happy, and he goes along with it because he says, "Look, these people did wrong. All the gangsters or whatever, you want to kill them? Kill them. Go ahead." But it's weird that they are aligned in that way. And Captain America Hydra Agent, this is a comic book in Marvel Comics, and it's basically, it proposes the question, what if Cap was a Hydra agent? Great story, by the way. But you know what's interesting is that comic and Injustice basically are the same. And it boils down to, would you give up your freedoms to a totalitarian regime if there were no crime? It's the same sentiment. It's the same argument, basically. But anyway, let's get back to it. So, in episode 4, Frank tracks some weapon shipments. He and Micro steal it. Dinah is closing in on him. And I believe to save Frank from doing something stupid, because he and Dinah have engaged in this game of chicken, so to speak. And if you know what chicken is basically where you have two cars coming at each other, and the first one to move is chicken. And so Dinah and Frank both being selfish, I don't think either would have moved. Okay. And so to avoid this, Micro crashes into Dinah and injures her a little bit, but it prevents, in Micro's mind, Frank and Dinah from killing each other, which they may have, right? Both of them have incomparable wills. And so that he very well could have saved them from that. But anyway, in the conflict, Frank goes, or after the accident or whatever, Frank removes her from the car that's about to explode, drags her off to the side of the road where she can be found, and basically says, "Hey, you need to stay out of my way," and goes about his business. That's basically episode 4. Episode 5, is entitled Gunner. Frank confronts his past with his fellow soldiers. Trauma becomes the central focus point, and Micro struggles emotionally. Russo's duplicity grows clearer. And basically, Russo begins to sleep with Madani. And Madani, who's very hot, by the way, I must admit, just very attractive young lady. So good for Billy. Okay. Good for you, Billy. Wherever you are, good for you. Tops. But anyway, as their relationship evolves, Billy begins to pump her for information. And Billy's a master manipulator. That's one of the things that we see about him as this story evolves is Billy is really good at manipulating. So he comes at her like, well, you know, I'm looking at this case that you're working in. It says something about Frank Castle. Is Frank Castle alive? And she's like, well, I can't tell you that. And so then he flips and he says, well, are you just sleeping with, are you using me? Are you using me for information? Even though we clearly see he's using her for information.
Yeah.
So he's accusing her of the very thing that he's doing, but he's the first to say it out loud. Yep. Right. And he's trying to get her to trust him because he wants to know if Frank is alive, but he doesn't want to know if Frank is alive because he and Frank are friends. He wants to know for nefarious purposes because he was with the guys who were breaking the law and he was with the guys who killed Frank. Even though he didn't participate in it, right? He didn't stop it. So anyway, this is what's going on there. Episode 6, The Judas Goat. Frank interrogates key figures brutally. Madani gets closer to the truth and Russo manipulates everyone there again. And we get to episode 7, which to me is when everything turns and it's like, okay, let's go. Let's go. And from there, from episode 7 on out, it is a full ride, buddy. Episode 7 is entitled Crosshairs. It marks a major turning point where the stakes escalate dramatically. Dinah Madani becomes a direct target, showing that the conspiracy is willing to eliminate anyone who gets too close. Her near-death experience raises the urgency of the narrative. The threat is no longer distant or theoretical. It's immediate and personal. The episode shifts the tone from investigation to survival. Everyone is now in danger. Frank stepping in to save Madani is a crucial moment for his character. Despite his distrust of the system, he recognizes that she is one of the few people genuinely seeking the truth. This act begins to build a reluctant alliance between them and also reinforces Frank's internal code, protect those who are fighting for something real. Even as a vigilante, he operates with a sense of purpose, right? This complexity is what makes him compelling. You look like you're about to say something.
No.
Okay. My bad. At the same time, Billy Russo's true nature becomes increasingly difficult to ignore. Subtle hints and inconsistencies start to add up, creating tension around his character. The audience begins to see cracks in the facade. The slow reveal is effective because it mirrors Frank's own realization. Betrayal is not immediate. It's uncovered piece by piece. That makes it more painful. I want to talk about that for a sec because that's the part to me that kind of and we're back. So essentially Billy is the betrayal is kind of what broke my heart because Frank's family is dead and the last person that he would really call family betrays him. And when we see that come to life, the hurt that's in his soul and on his face, it's just heartbreaking. Because think about it. Your wife, your kids are dead. It's your fault because you got into something. I know a little bit about guilt, Jordan, and I'm telling you, I don't know that I could bear that. Right? I don't know that I could bear that my wife and kids are dead, and it's because of me. And oh yeah, the cherry on top, it was my friend who was involved in it.
Yep.
It was my friend who could have warned me. It was my friend who
Mhm.
could have helped me. It was my friend who could have done nothing. And not only did he do nothing, but he's in cahoots with the guys who killed my family.
Yep.
That's a blow. That's a blow. And we see him go through that. But we understand why Frank Castle is the way he is. He is a damaged soul, and it does not look like he will ever get over this. And I think he's resolved himself to the fact that, you know what, this is my new normal. This is who I am, and the only way I can deal with this, because I'll never get over these nightmares and night terrors, is I'm going to take it to the people who perpetuate certain things. I'm going to take it to the bad people of the world who do this. And there won't be a trial. There won't be any of that. A lot of these folks are above the law, and it ends with me. And I really, they do a great job of evolving the character and his character arc. We understand why Frank Castle is the way he is, because I think in a lot of the movies, you see a little bit of it and you see the betrayal, but in this iteration, in this show, the way they lay it out in the examples, we understand that this was a betrayal on many sides. And Frank has basically lost his faith in the system. He's lost his faith in people. He's lost his faith in man.
Yep.
Right? I don't know. It's interesting. The other thing that we see in this story, maybe not in this episode, maybe in episode 8, but we see Billy's relationship with his mother.
Yeah.
And they kind of allude to the fact that Billy's mom may have been a woman of the night, may have been. But clearly, I think she gave him up for adoption. And he goes to find her, and she's in this home in her current state, and she is terrified of him. And it would appeal as though he comes to check on her just to torture her, just to mess with her, right? But it is another. It kind of gives us a little background as to why he can't really have a relationship with women, because they're disposable to him, because he was disposable to his mom. Or give me your thoughts on that, because maybe I'm reading wrong into that, but give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, this is there's Billy and the Punisher are both like mirroring one another in terms of how war like separates people, but also the sentiment an eye for an eye. See, the Punisher has his eye for an eye is, okay, you hurt people, so I'm going to hurt you.
Right.
And with Billy, it's you hurt me, so I'm going to hurt you. But his hurt is very different from the Punisher's. The Punisher's is like, okay, you killed these people, you hurt innocent people, so I'm going to hurt you even more. And Billy is like, okay, you may have hurt me mentally and emotionally, so I'm going to torture you.
Right.
And that's a very, very different way of doing things. A very different eye for an eye type of thing. So, clearly his mom did damage to his psyche.
Yeah.
And Billy's take on that is, okay, I want to make sure you have a slow and painful death. And I'm like, okay, maybe you're going too far
Too
with
far,
certain
right,
things.
right.
And it also it creates this tension in this scene, and we're like, okay, we see a person who very vulnerable. I don't know how much more vulnerable you could be,
Mhm.
and there's nothing she can do about it.
Yeah.
And Billy can do whatever.
She's in restraints.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
she's in
and
restraints.
and we're like, we're like, oh my, we feel uncomfortable. It's a sense of just very uncomfortable, just because she can't do anything about it to defend herself.
Right.
So, yeah, this whole scene is just really, really tense.
Yeah. I don't know. It's unfortunate, but it's another layer that they're peeling back into Billy Russo. And the thing that we see evolve during this story as Punisher and Billy get farther and farther away, Micro and Punisher become closer. And, Punisher goes to see Micro's family a lot and interacts with his wife a lot and interacts with the kids a lot. And in one of those scenes, I believe the son is angry, so he begins to bully people, and he takes somebody's skateboard. And the sister told the mom about it, or the mom actually asked the neighbor, and she asked the sister about it. And no, the kid comes in and she asks him about it, and the sister says something, and he punches her in the face. Now, right then and there, that's where I disagree, because if I'm the mom or the dad, I'm snatching him up right then and there, and I'm gonna beat the bully out of him. I wouldn't have I wouldn't have reacted the way she did, like, hey, we don't hit people. No, first of all, your sister's a girl, okay? And if I allow you to hit girls now, you're gonna hit girls when you become older. No, we're gonna check that today. Now that's me. I don't know how you feel about that, but that was the one thing about that I did, because when I tell you he punched her with everything he had, and that's a girl. And I didn't like that. I did not like the way they dealt with it. And maybe that's a cultural thing. But I'm gonna be honest with you, Jordan. I'd have beat his ass. I'd have snatched him up and beat the bejesus out of him and said, hey, you're never gonna hit your sister again. Your job is to protect her. You better not ever raise your hand to any woman. Now that would have been me. Give me your thoughts on what goes down there.
And I think that's where the mom is just missing the dynamic of the dad in that moment. And that I think that the dad would have done that. And that's where, like, so it's some parent relationships, you have one that's the civil one to be there mentally and emotionally and discipline them mentally and emotionally, and you have the disciplinarian, and it's very apparent that the dad was the disciplinarian in that, and the mom just doesn't know what to do. And yes, it's we both agree he needs to be disciplined, but it's better said than done with a lot of people, and so the mom just doesn't know how to do that, right? And that's where Frank steps in, and does he go a little far? I'm gonna be honest. I think he went a little too far, but it scared him in a way that was like, okay, this kid's never gonna do this again. It's not like
I like what Frank did.
You like the fact that this man put a knife to a kid's throat.
Sure do.
I will say
you want to be a bully, right?
Okay.
You want to be a bully.
There's all right. I will say this. All right, there is no sense in any scenario you should ever hit anyone. And this kid needs to be punished extremely. But huge but grabbing a knife and putting it to a kid's like
He's
alright,
the Punisher.
if this kid
What
was
did
15
you expect?
if this kid was 15, 16, like this kid's probably like 10 years old.
10, right? Yeah.
If he
Yeah.
was 15, 16, I'd be like, yeah. This kid's like 10 years old. I'm surprised this kid didn't wet his pants. Like
And he would have deserved it. He would have deserved it.
there is an age for this. At 15, 16, I would have been like, yeah, he would have deserved this. This kid's like 10 years old, doesn't have a dad, and it's clearly giving him PTSD. The whole moral of this whole season is PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
And the effects of that, and not just in war, but in life.
In life, right.
And for this kid, him losing his dad has given him PTSD, which he has then and released that on other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so he needs to talk about this.
Right.
And he like this kid needs to be disciplined, but also needs to talk about this.
Right.
Frank does talk to him.
Right.
This is where the Punisher. This is where the Punisher goes a little too far. Like I know he was never going to hurt the kid.
Right.
But I'm gonna be honest. If I ever had a man that it's not like he knows this guy. It's not like it's his dad.
Right.
If I had another man do that to me at 10 years old, I will forever remember that for the rest of my life. And I will be forever. That would have created another PTSD moment for me. That would have been a core memory that I will remember. And I will be scared of certain people with knives, probably for a long time. And there's a certain, like, I understand, even if he put him in literally a chokehold,
mm-hmm.
I would have been, I think, a lot better.
Right.
But putting a knife to his throat, I think there was a line. I know that there was a line.
Mm-hmm.
We're all the way in Timbuktu. Like the line is right here.
Yeah.
Where is the Artemis spaceship right now? I don't know. I actually know. I think they came back already.
Moon, around the moon or something.
We're past the moon, bro.
Yeah.
All right. Like I was disciplined a little bit phically, but I also was a very mature child at a young age, so I didn't really act out that much.
Right.
So I never needed did I get spanked as a child? Yes, but when I was really young, and I learned when I got spanked that I didn't want to get spanked again. So I was like, okay, let's not do that.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of kids at a very young age understand that, and they're like, okay, let's keep doing things. And so, all right, there's certain kids need to be talked to. Certain kids need to be physically disciplined. I understand that. We are well past physical discipline when we're holding knives to 10-year-olds. We are we are all right. Hello, Child Protective Services. We are calling somebody. That's the one moment I think with this whole show where I'm like, okay, Frank,
too much.
Maybe we did a little bit too much, but it did scare him. I will say it led to positive effects.
Mm-hmm.
Just please don't do that again.
Well, it wasn't too positive because when they find out he's the Punisher, this little shit is the one who calls the cops.
Probably because
he's mad.
A knife to his throat. Probably because he held a knife to his throat. Again, I think we crossed a line. if you didn't do that, even if you put him in literally a chokehold, that would have sent the same message. And it would have sent the same message to him.
Mhm.
But by holding a knife, it then sends signals to your brain that it's fight or flight. It doesn't
But-
matter who's holding the knife to your throat. Could have been his
Right.
mom, could have been his sister,
Right.
could have been some stranger, could have been his neighbor. Who
And he
knows?
could have panicked. He could have panicked and cut himself.
Which is what I was thinking the entire time. I'm like,
Yeah,
this kid's
that's
gonna.
true.
I was like,
That's
this
true.
kid could be panicking. Like, there's a lot of bad ways this could go.
Yeah.
So by just putting him in a chokehold, you send the same message, less of a threat.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I think we crossed a huge line.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. Even if he had a brother, if he'd have punched his brother, I could have taken it a little more. I could have, and not that I would excuse it, but I could have taken it a little more because boys fight, right? And okay, you punch your brother, still should have been disciplined. But dude, you hit a girl. And not only you punched her like you would punch a dude. And my thing was, I don't like bullies, but if you allow that to happen, then when you get into a relationship, it's going to be that much easier for you to punch a woman. And I just don't like men that beat up on women. I've never liked that. So, my thing is, for that alone, if I'm dad and I see I'm yoking him in, and some things you got to get him in the moment. Well, you're not going to get time to think about it. I'm yoking you right then and there. I'm picking you up. I'm throwing you against that refrigerator, and I'm going to scare you to within an inch of your life to say, whatever you did to her, I'm going to do to you and worse. Don't you ever, and I mean ever, pick up your hand to do that. And I'm going to do some stuff to you that's going to make you not want to do that. But again, that's just
throwing against the refrigerator, that's fine. again, that's even like we haven't we're getting towards the line, but we haven't crossed it. But with the holding a knife to a 10-year-old's throat, we are well past the line.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I agreed with everything you said. It's just the knife.
You got
it's like, I feel like Andrew Garfield in the Amazing Spider-Man Knives. He's like, oh, I'm afraid to lift this small knives. Like, just again, not knife.
Right.
No.
Knife bad. Knife bad
to child. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Whatever. That's funny when I think about it. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny. It is kind of funny. Anyway, we're going to shift gears to episode 11. Episode 11 is entitled Danger Close. It's one of the most intense episodes of the season. Frank is in his most vulnerable position. Captured and restrained, he is subjected to brutal torture by Rollins. This is not just physical pain, it's psychological warfare. Rollins attempts to break Frank's will and force him into submission. The power dynamic is completely reversed. For once, Frank is not in control. And this is true. And we see them beat Frank. One thing about Frank can take a beating. Okay? I don't know who can take a beating more, either him or Daredevil, but Frank can take a beating because these guys beat on him like a pulp. They beat on him to no end, and he takes it. And Rollins uses the moment to reveal critical truths about the Operation Cerberus and the events leading to Frank's family's death. These revelations confirm that the system Frank once served is deeply corrupt. It's not just a few bad actors, it's institutional. This knowledge fuels Frank's rage, but also sharpens his focus. He's no longer guessing. He knows exactly who is responsible. Now, unbeknownst to these guys, and I don't know if this is in episode 11 or episode 13, but it's revealed that the camera is on and it's recording the interactions, and everything that William Rollins said is captured. So he's got him. He's got him. He's got Billy. He's got everybody. But one thing about Frank is incredibly smart and reads people very well. And he knows that from his time serving with Billy in the armed forces, that Billy really doesn't like Rollins. And Rollins really doesn't like Billy because Rollins sees Billy as a dog, as basically his war dog. And Billy sees Rollins as basically a pencil pushing asshole, right? And so Frank kind of plays on this, and he's like, "Look, man, if you got to kill me, I understand, but don't let this guy do it. Don't let him do it. Don't let him do it." And he whispers, right? And he kind of, puts that thought in Billy's ear. And so when Rollins begins to say, "Well, I want this and I want to torture him. He took my eye, so I'm going to take his." Billy's like, "No, this man's a hero. That you're not going to do that to him." And he's like, "I can do whatever I want to do." And at this point, we meet Billy. We meet Billy's dark side. And Billy kills him and basically says, "No, you're not." And at this point, Billy thinks he's won because he's killed the guy. And the authorities come rushing in, right? And they pick him up. And Bob's your uncle. And we think everything is okay. But just wait.
All right. I want to take a timeout real quick. How often do you say that this is completely, you said Bob's your uncle, completely off topic.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you say like, boom, Bob's your uncle, or Bob's your uncle? Or like, what do you think about that phrase when you say it?
It's just basically a phrase that summarizes completion of something.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, I had to go in and do a surgery on this guy. It was a triple bypass. Finally clipped the last one. Bob's your uncle. There you go. I don't use it often.
You don't use it often, okay. But do you hear a lot of people using it? Like, do you hear it?
I really don't. No, I don't.
But have you heard anyone else say?
I've heard other people use it. Yeah.
I said it at work, and I had people of all, like, I had my younger interns saying, they're like, "Is that an old saying?" And like that's probably an old saying. And then I had my older coworkers who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s saying, is that something like is that new slang, or like, what is that? Like, I had people of all generations looking at me like I have 4 eyes, and I'm like, am I high right now? Like, am I in the Twilight Zone that none of you have heard this saying before? I'm like, oh, I had my supervisor looking at me, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, none of you have heard anyone say Bob's your uncle. That's a off topic. I'm so glad you said that without me telling you, because I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone and not a single person in my outside of my immediate family knew about that. Okay.
Hey man, let me tell you something. That's just further evidence as to why we're such good friends, man. Because you know what I mean. Because I'll be honest with you, you're probably the only person that I would even use that with. Because if I said that shit to Kim, she'd be like, "What did you say?"
I say it,
Bob. What are you talking about? I wouldn't even use that. You're probably one of the few people, because I know you know what it would mean.
Yes.
Right. So, but no, I mean I don't know if you've ever seen what's the name of that TV show? It used to come on HBO, where this kid just watched TV from the time he was 3 up until he was a grown-up. And what's the name of it? It's an old HBO show. But anyway, as a kid, that was me. And you would hear that referenced all the time. You used to see it in books, and Bob's your uncle was basically just a statement that summarizes something happening, right? Like,
there's 2 movies that I immediately connect with that saying. One of the Mission Impossible movies says it. And it's Tom Cruise's friend, the nerdy one who doesn't want to he always gets scared. I love him. The redhead guy. And also in the original Mary Poppins. What's his name says it. I don't remember his name because I haven't seen Mary Poppins in years. Which actually that should be a movie that I should go back and rate. But yeah, that's just I was so dumbfounded. I'm like, are you joking? Like, you're telling me you've never heard
that?
Bob's
you never
your
heard
uncle?
I say that? Yeah.
Like, and look, there's someone at our work named Bob, so that's what it makes it. So, and Bob's your uncle, and and what's funny is Bob doesn't know that saying either.
Bob
so
has
I'm
no
like,
idea,
what
right?
is? I'm like, am I on drugs right now? Because I'm living in the Twilight Zone.
Is this a dream?
It's
is
the
this
Mandela
an alternate reality where nobody knows Bob's your uncle? No. So Google says Bob's your uncle is a British meaning, and there you have it, or it's all set, often used to describe how easily a task can be completed, while popular lore links it to Prime Minister Robert Bob Cecil appointing his nephew Arthur Balfour to a top position in 1887. This is the earliest known written usage, dates from the 1920s.
Yeah, and I said that at work, and everybody's like, "Yeah, that's a British thing. Are you British?" And I'm like, "What?" but it makes sense in connection to Mission Impossible and Mary Poppins because the characters who say that are British.
Right. So again, I can remember reading a book a long time ago. A lot of people don't know this, but I used to be a very vociferous and avid reader. I am no more, but I used to read a lot, and I've seen that. I've seen that in some prints, but I've seen it on TV or in movies. And it's basically just there you have it, just like they said. But anyway, interesting.
Anyways, get back on topic.
Yeah, no, you can't. But it's weird because I wouldn't use that with most people. I use it with you because I know you know the meaning of it, right? But if I'm talking with my friends, my other friends who I podcast with, I don't know that I'd use that term. Now, I have a best friend who I would, because I know he would get it because he's like me. But I don't know that that's a commonly known term, is what I'm saying.
I've learned to add it to my vocabulary, and now people look at me weird, but now I'm like, and if anyone asks me, what are you talking about? And then I explain to them what it means. And they're like, oh, but most of the time people just laugh when I say it. That the reason I say it is only for comedic purposes, because it's so random to say, and Bob's your uncle. And like, I don't know when I started adding it. I think I watched a movie with my mom like years ago. And since then, I just throw it into my daily vocabulary, where I will go on a rant about something, and then just randomly at the end of this long rant, I might just say, and Bob's your uncle.
Do you think there is a breakdown of the English language? And I say that because growing up, my mom was an English major. So a lot of sins that a lot of people could commit with the English language, I could not. Okay. And when I tell you my mom would make me wash dishes, do certain tasks, punish me for abusing the King's English, she would. Okay. You were going to speak the correct King's English in her presence. That was just her. Okay. And so, but like, I'll give you an example. I was watching some show, and this guy says, I'll have a water. You don't have a water. You have a bottle of water, but you don't have a water. But it has been shortened or abbreviated to, I'll have a water, which obviously refers to a bottled water. But you hear people hear that and take that. I was watching another movie where they were saying, "What are we cheersing to?" You mean what are you toasting to? What are you? Cheers is what you say when you toast.
That is a weird thing to say.
But you hear it,
yeah,
because there is a breakdown, right, in English language, which is what I'm getting at. Because I'd never heard water. I have a water. You mean you'll have a bottle of water? You'll have a cup of
glass
water?
of water,
glass of water? Like there is an water is not going. You're not going to end a sentence with "I'll have a water," right? You can have a bottle of water. But
that is what has the English language like has broken down. Like even as generations go, every generation wants to use less and less words.
Correct.
And like we are now at a point that we're just using LOL, LM, FAO, OMG for everything, and just hyphenating using acronyms for everything.
Right.
And I use acronyms for when I'm talking to certain people. Like the way I text everybody, I text every single person in my phone differently.
Right.
And because it all depends on generations. Now, sometimes I will throw in words for certain generations as more of like educational reference. Mm-hmm. Like I might text you and be like, I might throw in an acronym and you'll be like, what's that? I'm like,
right.
And I'll do this.
I appreciate the way you text me because for the most part, you don't do that. Like you speak in long form. You know what I mean? Because I think you text me something one day and I was like, what is that? I even asked you when you were like, oh, it means this. And I was like, bruh.
Oh, and sometimes I'll text you something that's a reference literally from the 90s. I don't know what we were texting about earlier this week. And you were like, what? I'm like, oh, it was because we were talking about, I said Snoop Dogg and you said The Chronic. I'm like, T-Will, that's Dr. Dre. Come on, man.
But but Snoop was on the album. You know what I mean?
Know.
And it's interesting.
No, Dr. Dre.
You know what's interesting? You know what's interesting? It's interesting you say that because at the time that album was released, I was all about Snoop Dogg. So I didn't care who else was on Dre's album. I really didn't. It's funny the way I remember it in my mind. That's a Snoop Dogg album. Now I know it's not accurate, but I'm just telling you. 30-something years ago, what comes to me whenever I think of The Chronic, I think of Snoop. Whenever I think of The Chronic, because that was what 93, 94?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Did the Chronic precede Snoop's album or did his album? I think The Chronic preceded. Yeah. But whenever I think, because 94, I'm telling you now, Jordan, was the year of Snoop Dogg. When that album was released, oh my God, I have a very bad habit, and you know this about me, of playing songs over and over again. I made my wife hate. What's the name of that song? Gin and Juice. I made her hate Gin and Juice because I played that song every morning before work. Every morning before all my kids. Well, no, it was just Mariah at that point. Mariah was a baby because Mariah was born in 94. I made my wife hate that song because every day for 300. Whenever that song came out to the last day of 1994, every day me and my wife started with do 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 doom doom doom, and one day she was like, "Oh my God!" and I was like, "I'm never gonna stop playing it, Kim. Get over it. Get over yourself. Matter of fact, get some headphones because I'm never gonna stop playing it because that's how much I love that song." Anyway, I'm sorry,
but I do references. I said a reference to someone that is in their 40s, and I'm like, come on. And they're like, what are you talking about? I was like, come on. That's literally, I'm talking about something that literally was brought up in the 90s.
Right.
I'm speaking to you.
Right.
I'm gift wrapping
your group.
Something for you. Right. But you don't understand the reference.
Right.
So it's silly. So yeah, I try my best to I used to text my great grandmother used to text in like OMGs and LOLs.
That's interesting.
And all right, my great grandparents were very tech savvy.
Okay.
My great grandmother knew how to use an iPad. My great grandfather knew how to work a computer better than most people, better than people my parents' age, and uh, but they were always, and that's something that like I've learned to do is I'm always willing to learn new things because not a
Right.
lot of people are willing to like. I have
That's
to
true.
teach some people how to simply copy and paste an email
Right.
like that it's silly, but
Simple. Yeah.
they're like younger than my parents,
Right.
and I have to teach them. And look, my mom's young. My mom had me when she was 19, so she's
Right.
to say someone that is younger than my mom, it's like a middle generation between
Right.
my mom and me,
Right.
and so teaching them how to be like, okay, just copy paste is silly, but I also know that some people don't know those things. So
Right.
I don't I try to talk to some people as if they don't know some things, and especially when it comes to sports. I'm like okay, well like I don't tend to talk to someone as if they know like that the Akron Pros won in 1920. So when I meet someone like that, it's like, okay, I will talk to you about everything that happened in the year 1920.
Right.
But like, I'm always willing to learn new things. That's what I loved about my great grandparents is that they were always, even when my great grandma died, like she was a big fan of the band BTS,
Okay.
the Korean band, and
Okay.
I don't know anything about them, but I know they're one of the biggest like groups in the entire world,
Okay.
and I like they're arguably the biggest group in the world. It's just in America, there's a lot of places that they're just not very popular in,
Right.
but they are world renowned,
Okay.
and it's just so interesting that like my great grandparents were so like with the times even to the point at when they ended up dying that like I ended up learning that myself that like I always want to be willing to learn more
Yeah.
and willing to learn
And
what's
that's
going
a
on
good
now.
trait to have because as you get older, it gets harder.
Yes.
So yeah, because when we're young, our brains are active and our brains are
I'm
like
so
hungry.
young.
As you get
When we're young, I wouldn't preference that. I'm still young. I'm still good.
you
I mean,
are, you are still young.
even though I got people that are literally a year younger than me calling me Unc, and I'm like, bro, shut up.
You
Like,
are
what are you
still
talking
young.
about, bro?
You
Like,
are still young.
I
Yeah.
literally had I met this girl, and I'm 25. She was 24. She called me Unc, and I'm like, girl, what are you talking about?
Right.
I'm like, we literally went to school together. So yeah, I don't know. If you're calling me Unc, you're auntie.
That's right. That's right. There you go. There you go. Well, look it. So
Anyways, we went off
we did.
completely track from
I'm gonna have
Bob's
to
your
cut this
uncle.
out. I'm gonna have to cut this out. But anyway,
Bob's
let's
your
get to the Punisher. Let's wrap this up. So let's get to episode 13. Where everything goes down.
Oh yes.
The episode is home. It's about regrouping, but it's far from peaceful. After escaping, Frank begins to rebuild his strategy for the final confrontation. He's injured but focused, driven by everything he's learned. This episode shows the pace slightly to prepare for the climax. It allows characters to reflect, plan, and make final decisions. The calm here before the storm. Micro storyline takes center stage as his family becomes a direct target. This raises the stakes significantly as the consequences of the conspiracy extend beyond Frank. Micro is forced to confront the reality of his choices. He can no longer hide in the shadows. His fear and vulnerability contrast with Frank's intensity. This dynamic adds emotional depth to the episode. Dynamite Donnie prepares for her final move within the system, right? So basically, Billy and his cohorts have Frank and they have Micro's family, and they make a deal where all right, you and Micro for your family, and as they're doing the switch, Micro is shot, or so we think he's shot and killed. And so the only person that ends up going with them is Frank. But later we find out that they planned this, and Micro once again fakes his death to the captors, and that way he can help Frank by breaking into the computer system from Madani's office. And that's absolutely what happens. And it's during this that they capture everything that's said, and it's basically how they beat Billy and William and so forth. But anyway, I've talked way too much about this, man. Give me your thoughts on this last episode of just what goes down.
Oh, this last let me fast forward to the carousel, because this is outside of Daredevil's season 3's finale. This is my next favorite finale, and very clearly, just this whole scene is so tense. Like you have these just strangers that Billy has captured, and you're in the place where Frank's whole family was murdered, and they're going back and forth shooting each other, and it's just this whole tense fighting. You're on a carousel. At one point, Frank shoots Billy through the face, and he's got a hole through his cheek.
And that's what messed him up, because Billy's very vain. They make a habit of talking about how pretty Billy is throughout. He's basically the American Psycho series. You said what?
He's basically American Psycho. He's basically like Christian Bale's American Psycho.
Yeah. But I think they're kind of setting it up for the transition to Jigsaw. I think it's kind of foreshadowing of things to come.
Yep.
But it's cruel in the first place for Billy to choose this, because he knows that's gonna give, like, it's just cruel. It's just mean, right? It's taking what I know about you. And although it is a tactical advantage and it is the right thing to do from an enemy standpoint, as a former friend, that's just cruel. You know what I mean? But anyway, go ahead. Get back to what you were saying.
I mean, they're shooting back and forth. I mean, he has those strangers captured, and I mean, when they get fighting and stuff, it's a bloodbath. But the one part that makes me, in no part in any movie or show have I ever just cringed and just been this squeamish before, is when Frank is sliding Billy's face across that broken glass.
Yeah.
Every time I watch this, I tense up everything. I'm just like, oh my, like death is better. Death is better than what he is doing. I thought he was going to die there. And he just doesn't die. And Frank thinks he dies, but he just slides his face, and you hear this gut wrench. And the actor who plays Billy does a fantastic job of this scream, this like gut wrenching. It's not even gut wrenching. It's just this primal scream.
Blood curdling.
Blood curdling. Just as he's scraping his face across the broken glass. Oh my. Oh. All right, let's put this in perspective. Again, we're getting off topic, but this is a great show. You know, it's great when we get off topic a lot, because we connect to so many different things.
Right.
But I just watched the show Invincible, and it had the worst.
A lot of blood curdling. Yeah, a lot. I see where you're going.
But the most recent, the second to last most recent episode, so not the most recent episode, the week before, has a scene that is the single most squeamish thing I've ever seen in animation ever, and animation's never done that for me.
Right.
But it was something that I was like, this is worse than anything in the Terrifier movies. And that says a lot. And this scene just tops, it is the top of the top in terms of squeamish, in terms of every time I watch it, it's just seeing his face and it's almost like you feel it scraping at your own face. And they just do a great job of showing, because they could have like shown it off camera, they could have shown it from like a certain angle, but they show you straight on what he's going through.
Yeah.
And it is well done by everybody. And this whole time, Frank is like basically like monologuing as he's doing it, like and like this is what you deserve, basically, and like this is like there goes your pretty face, basically, and it is amazing. It is incredible. All of it is. I love all of it, and it is such a perfect way to end a Punisher season 1. They don't top it in season 2, but man, they just do such a great job of just this, especially from like a physical standpoint. Like Doctor Doom has a similar like arc in terms of like Doctor Doom was this like, it was seen as this like handsome like person, and he was all about him. So he has this minor scar on his face, and he thinks he's so like imperfect. He's so just imperfect, and he's just an ugly looking person. But he's really not. By the way, I have the Punisher going on in the background, and I am at the scene where he's scraping his face every time. But Jigsaw goes through that same arc in terms of like he thinks he starts with this like perfect person, but then ends up becoming ugly. He's not even that ugly. It's just he has like scars.
Thank you for saying that.
So, but it's that minor imperfection that it's like a tick. It annoys him.
Right. No, I'm gonna be honest with you. Even in looking at him in season 2 with the scars, he's not a bad looking dude. Like it's funny how, and that's kind of like, I kind of feel like if you're gonna do it, right? Like even if we look at Billy in season, he's not a bad looking dude. As a matter of fact, the guy that gets on the bus that's making fun of him, he's better looking than him with scars. But he's like, hey, dude, did your mom do that to you? And it's kind of like they make more out of it than what it is. Because he's not a bad looking dude, and it's not that bad, but it's exactly what you say, because it's a minor imperfection, and because before he was so, good looking, I guess, or whatever, that he can't get past it, right? It's like people who start cosmetic surgery and they can't stop.
Yep.
You know what I mean? What's and that's what is that? What is that syndrome called? Where you can't be happy with your body. What is it? I can't think of the syndrome, but anyway, go ahead.
But like even after he gets done scraping, he just continues to bash his face into the mirror, and it just gets worse and worse. And you see, that's what I love about the Punisher. They don't hide anything.
No, they
show
don't.
You everything. I love that. The Punisher, you should never be hiding anything. Everything should be on screen in your face, saying, this is this, look at this, because that's the Punisher. He is judge, jury, executioner. See all of that. See the judge, see the jury, see the executioner when it comes to this. And they do such a fantastic job of this show. It's a fantastic ending to this first season.
Yeah. The only thing more gory than this, in my opinion, was Punisher Warzone. If you've ever seen, like, that movie was wow.
It is not. I have not seen it. It is on my watch list for comic book movies.
It's not a great movie. I've seen
all the other Punisher movies.
Yeah. No, it's not a great movie, but it is gory. Now, the other Punisher that came out before that, with John Travolta, I like that one a lot better. Yeah, Punisher Warzone is just... It's just that. It's as far as the movie is concerned, it's not great. But the gore in it, oh man, yeah, it's very gory. So anyway, this series has the best of both worlds. Going back and looking at this, I really found myself first and foremost, a lot more empathetic to those of us who have PTSD and who've experienced that. It really makes you walk away like, wow, because it feels like we truly abandon a lot of those folks. And it's not right and it's not fair. And look, I'm not going to make a geopolitical stance here, but we need to be more understanding, and there needs to be more soft landings for these guys where they can get the help that they need. And that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want the YouTube whatever, but you know, there needs to be a place where these veterans who go out there, and a lot of them come back losing body parts and God knows whatever, there needs to be a safe place for them to land there, or a soft place for them to land where they can get the help that they need, you know? And in Wilson's case, look, I really think he fell through the cracks. You got somebody that's trying to reach out and help you, but you don't want it. You don't listen. You partner up with somebody who's full of BS, and when you end up going to jail, you know, he totally abandons you. And you end up you end up killing the guy, and it just starts this whole thing. And again, I felt so bad for Curtis, because he ends up in these situations. Number one, he goes there to help the guy, ends up witnessing, okay, the aftermath of a murder. And he did to Curtis, which is something that's so cruel. And again, a lot of this is PTSD, but Curtis says he beat me with my own leg. And it's not the fact that he just did that. It's the fact that if Curtis had his normal leg, he would have cleaned this kid's clock. He would have cleaned this kid's clock. But because he has this weakness, he exploited it. And you get the sense that this is going to bother Curtis for a while. This isn't something that's just going to wash off, right? And then Billy comes to see Curtis and shoots Curtis. And Curtis is a good guy, but he just got caught up in the war between Billy and Punisher. But anyway, let's go ahead and rate this. So, yeah, after watching this, again, it's been some good ones, man. It makes you think, because you got to be like, if I did this and I gave this and I can't give this that, and so forth. And damn you for bringing that to my attention, Jordan. But you make me think. I'll give you that. There's a gnat in here. I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
I'm going to put it just below season 1 of Daredevil.
Below season 1.
Yeah. I have no idea what you're going to give it, but I'm going to say I've been on a roll lately. I think I was right the last 3 times. I feel like the streak's going to end today, though. But I'm going to say that you're going to give this one a 9 out of 10. Now, where you're going to put it, I have no idea. But I'm just going to predict that you're going to give it a 9 out of 10. But give us your rating.
I love this. The Punisher is my clear second favorite show. From a character's perspective, I love the Punisher more than any of the Defenders or any of the Netflix series characters. The Punisher is my second favorite Marvel character. Probably second. There's a couple others like Ghost Rider and Black Panther and Captain America that I love, but Punisher is probably my second favorite Marvel character. That's why I can't wait for Spider-Man Brand New Day. 3 of my favorite Marvel characters are going to be in that. I love that. I love this first season. I love the story behind it. I think there's a little... The first episode's great. But I think right after the first episode, there's like a lull in terms of just figuring out what we're doing. And we really, once we figure out what we're doing, the season really takes off.
Nonstop. Yeah, it hums. It does.
I didn't have a single negative review for any episode. Every episode was a 7 or higher. The highest episode, I had 3 episodes that were 9 out of 10s. I don't think there's one episode that's like that I can point to and say this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. But there are 3 great episodes, especially the finale. The finale is one episode that I genuinely go back and rewatch. With the average score, it ended up coming to an 8 out of 10. So I have an 8 out of 10 for this. I think, I mean, if you're looking at the second half of this season, the average score was probably like an 8.5, but the first half is like closer to a 7 and a 7.5.
Okay.
Which averaged out all the way to an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I have this right under Daredevil season 2.
Okay.
I have this under season 2, I think, because there's a lot of, I think there's even more depth when it comes to all of the side characters. That's one thing that I think the Punisher doesn't do a whole lot well on, is I think the side characters are okay.
Yeah.
Like I like some of them. I don't love any of them.
Yeah, because we didn't bring up Karen Page.
Yeah, Karen's in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And their relationship is so interesting because
it's weird.
I mean,
it's weird. Like that scene in the elevator where they kind of don't kiss but get close and then do the head thing like they're both part of this wolf pack.
Well,
it's weird. And I still don't get that. So if you do, maybe you can explain it to me. I don't get that.
So I saw a tweet earlier this week about that specific scene, and and someone said they were going to kiss, but Frank held back because he doesn't want to get close to anyone. He doesn't want to feel love because 1, he feels like he doesn't deserve it, and 2, he feels like everybody that he loves ends up dying. So that's why he just doesn't want to. He really likes Karen a lot, and that's even pointed at in Daredevil Born Again season 1, where Matt hears his heartbeat and he's like, his heartbeat did some things.
Yeah, that's right.
They have an
argument about that, don't they?
And Karen's like, yeah, he's really nice and stuff like that. And Matt's like, I heard your heartbeat too. Your heartbeat did something similar. And she's like, what did my heartbeat do when I saw you? And Matt doesn't say anything. It's like, oh, okay. All right, Matt. Okay, go off. His whole heartbeat thing is one of the craziest superpowers in any Marvel character, because he uses when you're lying advantage so much. Not only does he know when you're lying, he knows when there's like a hiccup in your emotions.
Yeah.
Like that's wild. And he'll be like, yeah, I heard your heartbeat and you were also sweating. I could smell like you aspirating or some crap like that. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, you're a psycho sometimes.
I know what bar you went to. Like, damn, boy, you can't lie to him.
You had seafood last night. I could smell seafood on your breath. Like, right. I'm like, what, who are you, bro?
Right.
Chill out.
Right. But see, the thing about that is when you're that close to somebody, even if he doesn't make a move, the woman could also make a move, right? So it's you're that close. That was just weird, Jordan.
Karen also loves Matt.
So you think that's what was holding her back?
Yeah, like I think she really likes Frank, and maybe not in that way. And I also think during season 1 they started to grow close to one another. Like she started to understand him, and
right.
Karen is the one character throughout all of this that I think understands the Frank the most. Yeah. That isn't dead.
Right.
Right. And Frank Frank understands that.
Right.
And they both understand one another so much that I think that created a bond between the two of them. And I think they both have this shared bond to the point that, like, I mean, it feels like in Daredevil Born Again season 1 that anything Karen says, Frank will be like, yes, ma'am, I will do that for you. You want me to go across the world and pick up some sushi from Japan? I will do that for you. Like, Frank is Frank is not a lapdog to anybody. He is the Punisher. But if whatever Karen says, he's like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, because he really, and you see he cares about her.
Yeah.
You do. You see he cares about her. So that's yeah, man. It was just weird. That's just weird. That's just the other thing that kind of, I don't know. But are we doing Doctor Strange tomorrow, or are we pushing that? Like, where are we? You know what? You know what? Let's say goodbye to the audience. Goodbye, audience. Whenever we do Doctor Strange, we'll let you know. Thanks to everyone who endured conversation like Bob's your uncle and all that other stuff. I don't know if I'm going to leave it in, but if I do, hey, great. You guys have an amazing day. We'll see you when we see you. Thanks, everybody. This movie was about
Lights, camera, action is going down. For my ATL movies, when we run this town with your host, T-Will, yeah, keeping it real. From the A to the screen, you can feel the thrill. Rolling with the classics, we're setting the pace. Highlighting the magic of our soulful space. Got the vibe, got the crew, making it tight. When the screen lights up, everything feels right. Grab your popcorn, let's make it loud. T-Will, T-Will. It's movie time, ATL style. Stand proud. From the silver screen to the hearts we steal. T-Will, T-Will. Every frame we capture is a real deal. Yeah. Talking premieres where the stars align. ATL views, yeah, they really shine. Behind the